So guys, how would it be if you could do short-term rentals or even long-term rentals, whatever it might be, but how could you get those rentals to pay you enough that you can become work optional as well? Well, that's why I brought Ryan and Corey on to talk about today. So tune in right now. Hello, my fellow Ripplers. This is Chris Miles, your cash flow expert and anti-financial advisor. Well, no show, it's for you. Those that work so freaking hard for your money, and you're now ready for your money to start working harder for you today. You want that freedom of cash flow right now, not 30 or 40 years from now, but you want it today so you can live that life that you love with those that you love. But most importantly, guys, I know it's not just about getting rich, but you want to live a rich life because you know that as you're blessed financially, you now have a greater capacity to bless the lives of those around you. And that's the ripple effect I'm here to create for you guys today. Thank you for tuning in. You guys have been binging on these episodes. Some of you guys, I'm shocked you've gotten hundreds into these episodes to this point. So amazing. So thank you so much for being faithful listeners because seriously, guys, you are the best. Okay, guys, so I brought on our special guests today, Ryan and Corey here that, guys, what I love about this story, I mean, one, they've got a podcast you got to check out, Weekly Juice Podcast. That's awesome. In the top 1% of podcasts. They probably even got some more downloads than I've got, guys. So definitely check out their podcast for sure. But what I love about their story is that these guys got a real story. They're not bragging about, like I've had guests on there saying like, well, I've got 1,000 doors. Now I'm going on for 10,000 doors, right? Like these guys got 70 doors, but they're doing a lot of different strategies and mixes to help create financial freedom for themselves as well. Something that could be attainable for you too, if you follow a similar or same path. And that's what I like. I like those guys that have been there, they're done it, and they're still doing it today. And that's why I want to bring Ryan and Corey here with us today. So guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, man. We really appreciate it. We had you on our show a few months back, and we're excited to return the favor.
Yeah, for sure, man. So let's just start with you, Corey. Like, tell us more about you, and just tell us about what your story is.
Yeah, so my story doesn't go anywhere without my partner here, Ryan. So it'll be a little intertwined here. But Ryan and I met in college about 13 years ago. We went to Temple University in Philadelphia. We kind of had this connection. We didn't really know where it would go. It was just something that we figured at one point we might, our paths may cross. And then after we graduated, we went into the workforce. We were both working corporate jobs, actually ended up being at the same company. We realized quickly, 25, 26, like, whoa, is this what I went to school for? Like, this is a little much. And is this it? Is this the end all be all? So
what kind of jobs are you guys doing?
I was working I was running a youth camp for a professional basketball organization, and it was something that I had so much fun doing, but I was getting paid pennies, and I loved it, but I knew there had to be more, like financially. There had to be more freedom wise. So we fell up upon the FI community and real estate investing. I bought a house hack back in 2018. A 3-bed, 2-bath. I lived in one unit, rented out the other 2 units, and I found my way to paying $200 a month to live. And I was like, this is powerful. Maybe I could repeat this. I went out, took the money I saved, bought a duplex in the New Jersey area. And Ryan tells the story. I didn't even know this till he told it on another podcast, that he saw me post a photo. Hey, like, got my first rental property. He immediately texts me and he's like, dude, I want in. What are you doing? Like, let's do this together. A little bit of a fast forward. We started a podcast together when we just had a couple units, right, as primary residence. I had 2 units, 3 units. And I was like, I think people are going to latch onto our story. I think they're going to want to know what we're doing in the trenches, not preaching down from them like, oh, we have 50, 100 units already. And it worked. People started to latch onto our story. They felt the authenticity. And from there, we organically were able to network with people who were in rooms that we didn't deserve to be in. And that was what springboarded us from 2 units to 5 units to 8 units and then now we have 70, some of which we own, just the 2 of us, others of which we've partnered on. But if it wasn't for the rooms and the people that took chances on us and us bringing value to them, we would not be where we are today. So that mentorship was huge. I wanted to keep it short, but that's pretty much the story of the inception of the wealth. By the way, we renamed it the Wealth Juice Podcast, and at Wealth Juice is our Instagram. So that's the story.
Awesome. Yep. Well, Ryan, let's hear your side of the story now.
Sure. So I guess I can pick up where Corey and I did live together after after college, and we started in the same workforce. I was managing a sales team at that time, and then so basically you had a base salary, and then you have commission on top, and then it evolved to having a team underneath me and all of that too, right? And so we're in this cycle, right? And we start accruing some capital and started doing the wrong things. We started we each bought the $40,000 cars. I both blacked out. He had the Mercedes. I had the Challenger. We parked them next to each other, thought we were these young rich guys that were killing it. And we quickly realized like it wasn't sustainable. And after we came across the FI movement, as Corey mentioned, like it was through reading a bunch of different things. I came across Mr. Money Mustache. That was one guy. Financial Samurai was another guy. And then we got into Rich Dad Poor Dad. We read the book. We're like, whoa, that really changed our minds on everything. And I kind of framed it whereas we knew we were consumers currently. We were just buying to continually consume, buy the cars and keep renting and all these things, right? And then once we read the book, we're like, whoa, there's a different way of the world. And like all these rich people that we see in the upper echelon are doing things differently. They're buying income producing assets that are providing them with monthly cash flow to not only cover their bills, but then their lifestyle. And we realized, you know, you
Right.
could kind of quantify this over time. There's a bunch of different levels of financial independence that there are. And you guys listening, you can go research what they are. But there's one that really stuck out to us and was called Fat Fire. And it really was like, we didn't want to live super frugally to be able to reach financial independence. We were like, okay, how can we build up as many assets as we can in our incomes to a sustainable reach where it's covering all of our bills, then some, but we can still have the lifestyle of going on vacations with our families, still buying the cars if we want them, having the nice houses, like all the things that we personally value. That's also changed over time where we're more into the experiences versus the shiny, flashy objects because we realize like time is so limited. But
Mhm.
to put a pin in it there, the FI movement was big for us. I saw Corey post on his Instagram. He had his finger up, like pointing at the number one, like that was his first property. And we had talked as we lived together that we were going to buy real estate eventually. He went and did it, and I was like, dude, you did it before me. I moved in with my wife. I bought the primary. It's probably not an asset right away. And I was like, what are we doing? Let's do this. And he goes, okay, let's start here. COVID hits a couple months after. He's like, dude, I really think we should start a podcast. I'm like, dude, what are we going to talk about? Like, who's going to listen to us? Like, we have 2 units. I have a primary residence. He's like, just trust me on this. And I go, okay, dude, we're going to start a podcast because it's you. I will do it. But part B, I'm not doing anything half-assed. Like I am, if we're doing it, I'm going to be a little crazy. He knows I'm already pretty type A and kind of perfectionist in some ways. And he was like, dude, whatever, let's just try it. Looking back, it's funny, like our first episodes, and I looked on YouTube, I'm like, they're a complete joke. It's really us just like talking about our aspirations and like and I say a joke where every master is a beginner at one point, and people are always afraid to kind of start this thing. So fast forward, we got into the right rooms, had a few people. It was just Corey and I on the beginning episodes of our show talking about our experiences. We reached out to Chad Carson, Coach Carson online for those that are into real estate investing. He wrote the book, Retire Early with Real Estate. We read that and we were like, let's just see if Chad will come on the show. Whatever. We know what I wrote a great email or something that like told him how much he inspired us. He came on the show. That was our first big name. And then once that hit for us and the episode released, more people started reaching out to us. They're like, hey, I saw Chad on the show. Love what you guys are doing. Love to share my story. So we had more mom and pop guests come on the show. Then we got some bigger names. So we started reaching out to all the people that wrote the books that we read and started having them come on the show because if Chad came on the show, it gave us validation. So long story short, we started networking with the people that, many people have to pay to get in the rooms with. And we had a platform. Like we always tell people, you need to provide value in order to spread your wings and build your network. And like, why would people want to hang around us?
Mhm.
Well, if they have a coaching program or if they have a book they're trying to sell, they want an audience and they want to share their story to more people. It's free marketing. So we found that as our superpower. We've been using that for the last couple of years, and that's allowed us to partner with a ton of different people in a bunch of different niches. We have our 70 unit portfolio. A lot of them are long-term rentals, Corey and I. Then we have short-term rentals, which are Airbnbs up in the Pocono Mountains. Corey has one down in Tampa. We have an 18 unit in New Hampshire. We have a 43 unit in the Poconos, and we have a bunch more sprinkled in there that I'm probably missing. But we've dabbled in a lot of different directions, and it's allowed us to build a financial independence, if you will, that has like we just feel super comfortable if like the rug gets pulled from under us in any way. Like we have a bunch of different pillars of our foundation that are still standing, and it's not the job, just your job, that if that gets pulled away, you're kind of panicking. We're in a better place now, and so that's kind of where we are, and we can answer any questions all the way up to it. But I know it's probably a mouthful.
No, that's a great summary to go kind of hear how you guys kind of really, I mean, it's interesting because you even started Wealth Juice really as you're just starting, right? I mean, you were just I mean, you're really just sharing your experiences you're learning, which I could see where the draw is. Because there's some people saying, well, yeah, there's guys like this, these old school guys have been doing it for years, but they're up there. What do I do right now? Like, meet me at my level. And that's what you guys are really doing, aren't you?
Yes. I think, and this was Corey's idea truly, because I was more of, why would they listen to us when they can go listen to Bigger Pockets?
Yeah.
Everyone knows Bigger Pockets if you're thinking real estate investing. He's like, dude, the problem with Bigger Pockets, and this is not a knock. We have a lot of friends there and that have worked there. He's like, it's becoming commercialized. And a lot of the stories are people that have 1,000 to 3,000 units and just seems so unattainable for people. He's like, why don't we bring people along the journey with us as we build? And I thought it was great. I was like, let's just try it. We just had the gall within us to just try it. And then also another credit to Corey, what we found is like consistency is key. And you know this,
Mhm.
Chris, you're coming up on season 10 or the end of season 10, which is amazing. So congratulations to you. It's like to stay in the game for this long, you realize we've had so many people on the show where we were like, okay, we're going to go on a bunch of podcasts and do our little tour and get our show out and our name out there and our story. And half the people that we had on the show, their podcasts they don't exist anymore. And they stopped being
Right.
consistent with it. So we just said, like, if we just continue to show up, success will find us and we'll make our own luck. Right. So
Mhm.
um, I think the mantra of it was like to differentiate ourselves. It's we are the guys in the trenches right now, still doing deals, and we can show you how. And we're not 40 steps ahead of you where it seems unattainable. We're gonna have to pay us $10,000 for an hour of our time, and we're having
Mhm.
these big seminars, and we're gonna sell you things. Like it's we can do this together. And we did launch a coaching program, but it's half the cost of what the big dogs are doing. And it's like we will guide you there. We'll show you how to do it from guys that are still currently doing deals. And I think that's really where we found our wheelhouse. We've done a lot of other things on the multifamily space too, and like raised money for syndications and have put together bigger deals. And we found that we wouldn't even been able to had the drive or the comfort to try these big things until we got our first deal. Like that we always
Yeah.
talk about the power of one, and that's one of our big mantras is like once you get that first deal, you change from consumer to investor. You start learning how
Right.
to treat this as a business. And if you take it serious and you drive consistency and you do one a year, if you make that your goal, you're probably going to do two or three a year. And so if we can get the message out that everyone we believe should have at least one rental property in their financial portfolio, because just to test the interest, not only to test the interest and become a business owner, but you get all the benefits of real estate from cash flow to appreciation, tax side, depreciation. There's so many things we can go into, but rather than us just being stuck in the stock market every single day and then having our cash reserves on the side, let's figure out how to differentiate ourselves and diversify. What are 90% of millionaires doing? And
Yeah.
90% of millionaires become wealthy or have made some wealth through real estate. So we're like, let's follow the masses, but carve out our own niche. And so much, as you know, Chris, like it changes day to day and it goes up and down. It's not a linear path to any of this. And we've had to duck, dive, weave, jump, and make pivots. But it's been the most rewarding experience for us ever. And we're helping now we can help out friends and family members. We found something that we're really good at and we're passionate about. So it gives us that chip to wake up every day and have something more than just going to work for the man, you know?
Yeah, definitely. If you've been following this podcast, you're probably looking for great ways to create passive income right now, right? Well, we got you covered here with Central Lending. Central Lending specializes in alternative investments that actually are designed to create steady returns and long-term financial security for you and your family. Now, they prioritize transparency. They love, building those strong relationships, giving you that confidence and peace of mind, knowing that you have your money working harder for you, so you don't have to work so hard for that money. You want to learn more how to do that? Go to centrallending.com and check out what they've got today to create your passive income and wealth creation right now. Well, one question I have for you guys is you mentioned like the fire movement quite a bit, right? And it's kind of funny. I mean, I'm curious to know what are your thoughts of the fire movement because you're doing something different than most people. You're doing what I think actually is really fire, right? That financially independent, retire early. You're actually doing something that works. But I noticed when I was in the fire Facebook group, they kicked me out pretty quickly because I was not in favor of stocks. In fact, I had to tell them to question the 4% rule because the 4% rule was like debunked decades ago and they still teach it like it's still real. Tell us more about like that because that's how you got into this space. Like what are your feelings about the whole fire movement and what's good and what's not?
I know Ryan will probably have a lot to say about this because I think he found the fire movement before me. But I'll say this: our goal here is not to really retire in the traditional sense of retire. I think
Yeah.
that if you have the wherewithal and the mindset and the consistency to build yourself to a level where you can retire, you will not retire. And that is because the level of effort and energy that it takes to get you to that level, you have built something sustainable now. Now you can take that and go live the life that you want to live, maybe while still building your empire. So the whole financial independence, retire early, I'm going to go sit on a beach after I finish this. I just have to work for 10 years and save up and make my own soap, and then I can retire and sit on a beach. That's not how we look at this. And the reason that we started our coaching program is because personally, I wake up every day and I think this is what I love to do. There's no way I would retire from this. But the point is that we don't live a life of desperation or having to go to do a job that we don't want to do, or having to put our wants behind our needs. They all are aligned because this is something that really gets us up and gets us out of bed. I would say this: the point of the retire early movement is like, let's not focus on the expenses. Let's not focus on drilling this so down so far that you can't even enjoy the life you live. And you have a sign behind us for anybody that's watching that says, live your life now, not tomorrow. That is important to us as well. We don't want to cut our expenses all the way down and try to like force this into a square peg into a round hole. We want to build up
being
the
your way to
income.
wealth, right?
Exactly. And it's like that's not fun. You know, these are our prime years. Ryan and I are in our early 30s. Like, these are the years where we do value experiences and we value the vacations, and it's not all work. It's how can we create a balanced life that we wake up to, that we love every day. So the fire movement's really just like setting the foundation. Now we've tried to turn it and spin it and do it in our own way, really.
Yeah. I call that work optional, right? Where you work because you want to, not because you have to. Because if you don't have purpose, it feels like death. At least it has for the 2 times I retired, quote unquote retired.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
remember you had those. Yes, we talked about those. It's interesting. So my take on this is, how do I put this into words? I think the intersection between, if you can find the intersection between passion and purpose, you're in a very sweet spot in life. And that's very hard for people to do. So we've toyed around with the idea of like, okay, we could make 300-400 grand a year and do that, grind that for 10 years, and you make enough income as long as you're saving a good amount, like you'll be good to go. But the amount of hours you have to pack into that to master your craft and play this corporate chess game to go up there, is it worth it to you? Like, am I willing to sell, quote unquote, sell my soul for that? And
Yeah.
I've come to this point in my life where I'm not. And I don't know if it's, I think as things have kind of gradually gone up, I've taken a different path, and it's been probably obscure to people that work with me. I actually took a step down at work, at my job, recently, or like a couple of years ago, and it's like I wanted to have more time to be able to fulfill my passions and build out our Corey and I's business, but then also have spend time with my kid. So I have an 18-month-old at home, and I think that really changed my whole mindset for this entire like landscape of the fire movement, and just in general. Like, when people ask, oh, I had a buddy ask me one time, it was really weird. It was like 2 years ago when he saw that we had all these properties, and then we had a property management company with like 100 units under it. And he goes to me, he said, dude, are you rich? And I was like weirded out by it. And I'm like, wow, that's a weird question to ask. And I was like thinking about it. I'm like, I guess like on paper, it probably looks like that. But it fast forward to me having my child. And I saw this online, and I've been like really thinking about this. I'm like, I feel more rich than I ever was with any type of dollars now, because of the time I get to spend with my daughter and watch her grow up. And it's the weirdest thing. It's like the money doesn't matter. It's sitting in the bank account. And I'm not saying I'm rich by any means, but like, you have dollars in your bank account, right? But to be able to have the time to spend it freely, how you want. And like, everyone has their own thing that they want to go do. Some people want to travel. Some people do want to build a big business. Some people do want to buy the cars. Like, but for me, I've just found like it's hard to explain to people that don't have kids, and I don't know how to put this all into words, but I know I can speak to you on this, Chris. It's like, to have those hours in the day that I can just sit there and even just watch her and like watch her evolve and grow. It's the coolest thing, man. I'm richer than I've ever been. And I realized I just want to be able to provide for her and my family, for them to not have anything to want for, right? And like, that's my duty to get up and go do all this stuff. And I think there's two lanes in life, and it's really weird. It's like, once you have starting a family, like, you live for someone else, right? And you like, I want my wife and my daughter to be so happy and so comfortable, and like make sure all their dreams have come true, right? And they were there. But then I also can't forget about myself. And I think that's where a lot of people sometimes get wrapped up in life, and they're going to work every day, and they're like, they just like, they're trying to put money on the table for their family, right? And as guys, I think sometimes we're trying to balance our social life, providing for our family, and you lose your identity a bit, and it's a crazy thing. And I've really tried to focus. Like Corey's pretty good at this. Like he really loves golf, and he's like, dude, I'm just setting time aside to master my game. I love it. It clears my brain, and it still challenges me. And I was like, okay, like let me, like, what still challenges me? And I view thing that Corey and I are doing as like a game in a way, right? Like we're trying to build our business. We're competing with other people in the same space. There's branding involved, marketing, telling your story, sales, and then helping others. It's this weird, crazy, amazing thing. And it's my like passion and purpose have kind of like lifted through here. I've always wanted this level of financial freedom, right? Now we're educating other people on it. We're still playing real life Monopoly. It's this weird, addicting game, and then I'm still trying to balance my other life. So I know there's a lot of thoughts in there, but I think people can resonate with that because I see so many people driving as they go to their 9 to 5s, and they're just like, they're stuck for 8 hours, and there's a way out, but it does take time and effort. And like Corey and I said to ourselves, we're like, dude, this is a 10-year plan we're on minimum. Like if we're starting the podcast, like we just got to keep going for 10 years. And someone told that one of the first episodes we had, someone told us, they're like, dude, you can make it big. You will make it very successful. Just give yourself 10 years. And we were like, dude, that's insane. That is literally the craziest thing I've ever heard in my life. And now we're 4 years in, 4+ years. And we're like, okay, I mean, it's working. It's definitely working. And last thing I'll say is like, just for the whole movement and things, it takes one relationship, one conversation at sometimes to make you rich and make you wealthy. And there's so many versions of rich, but I say to get you to the level in your life that you never thought possible. And the only way we were able to do this was to have the confidence to share our story and not be afraid what people are going to say about us. And we toe a fine line because you have to showcase what you've built without bragging, and also showing, just like having people know that you mean business and you're the real deal. And it's just it's a crazy thing, but I wanted to bring that up because there's so many levels to this game, and we just have learned that action surpasses everything. And we were in analysis paralysis, just like everyone probably listening to the show has experienced once in their life. They've analyzed the deals, they've studied the fire movement, and they just don't start. 10 years goes by and you're in the same spot. We refuse to do that, and having each other as accountability partners has just helped us skyrocket. And super thankful for each other, because I don't think we would have been in the same boat if we tried to go this thing alone. So
absolutely. Yeah, that's fascinating to hear. Because I'll tell you, there's probably several people listening to this podcast right now, probably have at least a few $1,000,000 that they would trade it all in if they could just have that time freedom, which they can, right? But like you said, they're not willing to take that first step, which takes that initial faith to do something different than what they've always done to get those different results. It's a big trial of faith for sure. It's tough.
I mean, Chris, you can marry yourself to a lot of money in a way, and you can create your habits, kind of create who you are. So if you marry yourself to a position where you have all this cash, you can only buy so much of your life back, if that makes sense. Like you maybe are making $3 million a year. I'm just throwing that number out there. But if you have 18-hour work days and you're not able to take those days and turn them into things that you enjoy doing, to me, there's quite literally no point to even doing that. And that's why I see people all the time like, I want to be a billionaire. I'm like, what is the reason that you want to be a billionaire? So you can say that you're a billionaire, and maybe you have this deep-rooted passion for philanthropy and you think that's the best way to do it. Maybe, but maybe you've just been programmed that way to think that that's what success looks like. And until you define it for yourself, what does a successful life look like? I say this all the time. I'm a full-time entrepreneur. I get up scared. I get up happy. It depends on the day, but I'm living out exactly what I want to do. And my 3-4 year old go self would be proud. So it's like taking those moments and saying like, are you doing what you said you were going to do? And if the answer is yes, then you're already on your way and you don't have to wait to celebrate. So that's how I feel about the fire movement in general.
Yeah. Now, before I ask you guys a final question here for each of you, remind everybody, go check out the links here below. It is the Wealth Juice podcast, not the Weekly Juice. I was misspeaking as I was thinking 2 sentences ahead of what I was saying at the time. So the Wealth Juice podcast, be sure to check out their show, check out their social media as well. Awesome stuff, as you guys can already tell here. So last question for you guys, right? naturally you talk about the ripple effect, being a rippler in people's lives, like creating that ripple effect through people's lives. And Ryan, you'd even mentioned about having that purpose combining with passions, right? What would you say is your individual ripple effect?
Mm. So ripple effect, Chris, kind of recap me on exactly how you define ripple effect. Is it the impact you're having on others?
Is Yeah, the impact you have on others, how you have the impact on the world. What do you feel like you're here to do?
So let me start you here. I think one of the most interesting things I ever heard, and it's rang very true with me. It's not making the $1 million or becoming the millionaire, but it's who you become on the journey to that million to make you worthy of attaining that amount. And I think that is the ripple effect that I myself, and I can speak for Corey too, is that's what we're giving to the world now. We were once the guys looking to our left and our right in our cubicle and just wondering how to get out, or just wondering if we could do something while still doing it because we enjoyed our jobs. It's not like we
Mhm.
hated our jobs. There's a lot of people that are listening that they're like, dude, I actually like have a passion for it. It's like, okay, how can you take that passion for your job and take your superpowers and what you're good at and leverage that into a side hustle, right? So we were once those guys and we decided to sit down, map out a plan, and instead of leaving the plan on the table, decided to chip away at it and slowly take action and slowly do things. And sometimes it was not slow action, it was fast action. And it's taking a leap of faith in yourself and realizing that you have one crack at life, right? Like people, whether you watch a movie or you play video games or whatever, and you have that second life and you come back, right? That's not
Mhm.
real life. It doesn't happen. You could wake up, be a 35-year-old guy with 3 kids and realize you never took a shot at yourself. And you're wondering, now it's even harder to get out. So what I'm saying is the earlier you can figure out this, the better, and realize you have more time in your hands when you're younger, not only the compounding of money, but the compounding of yourself, right? And like how much you can take on. And for us, I think the ripple effect is all the things Corey and I have learned over time and the experiences we've been through. Not all of them have been good. Some of them are really hard. And like, and Chris, as a business owner, you're gonna get interesting clients. You're gonna get people that just don't like you for a specific reason. You say one thing wrong, they take it the other way. People bashing you on social media, or then again, there's 90% of other people that are amazing, and the people
Mhm.
that you thought would never take a chance on you or help you out, the guys that have all the money, they want to give back because they're bored. And they're like, dude, I see a young aspiring entrepreneur that was once me and they're giving back. And they did that to Corey and I, and they helped us elevate to their level. And then now we're like, wow, we're getting to that point where like we just want to keep continually giving back to other people. So our ripple effect, I think, is the skills that we continue to refine and hone and get better at over this entire journey. We don't wait to give back. We do that through our social media, do that through our podcast, do that through YouTube, through all of it, because we know what we were lacking and what we missed when we first started. And I think it's hard for people to trust other people in today's day and age, and they don't know where to go. And we're just trying to kind of give it more of like an open arm thing where it's like, if you stumble across us, we're average dudes that just figured it out, and we're making, a little bit of a splash for ourselves. And that's where what drives us even further is like seeing some of our students buy their first properties within 2 to 3 weeks is insane, or go under
Mhm.
contract. And we're like, dude, we would kill for that in the beginning. We had no idea what we were doing. We're looking on the MLS. We're like trying to make sure our stocks are in order. We are contributing to our 401k. Like we couldn't even fathom having a property that early. And so it's just our ripple effect to the world. I will say this is just sharing and showcasing what we've learned and helping other people um, do the same in their lives and showing them what's possible, because it really is doable. You just have to have a systematized roadmap. And that's what we look to help and showcase and supply other people with. It's not the $1 million. Just remember, it's who you become on the journey to the million.
I love that. Corey, what
I'm
would
not
you add for
sure. I'm not
yourself?
sure if I can add much to that, to be honest. 'Cause Ryan and I have like this left brain, right brain thing going, and sometimes they join together and they just say the exact same thing that the other person would say. It's because I've known him for as long as I have. I don't know that I would add much. I would just say that I have a passion for coaching, and I coach high school basketball. Uh, and I've found that, and Ryan mentioned this, the people that have made it already have put themselves in a position where their only goal is to bring up the youth and bring up the people that are doing the same thing that they tried to do. And my thought is, I don't need to feel like I've quote unquote made it to do that, because I know for a fact that there's something called a false summit, and you get to the top of the mountain and you look up and there's another one standing in front of you. And that to me has told me I don't need to wait to try to influence and other people along in my journey, because yeah, I can still learn from the person who has 1,000 units, but the person who has three can learn so much from us. So why not start our coaching program now while we have imposter syndrome and just fight through the fear? So that's where I feel like our ripple effect comes into play.
And I think just to put a bow on this, Chris, is the ripple effect, and I love it, and I love the name of your show. And I think when you have all of these people who have found success in their own lane, right? And then through showcasing it through a podcast, showcasing it through social media, like that's the ripple effect. Like if someone listening today can take one thing and that they become the person that then builds this business for themselves, or buys a property or two, or just tweaks one thing, there's a ripple effect there that's going to impact their legacy and their family. And then maybe their kid learns something from them, and it just ripples on. And as you can see, it's the spider web, the ripple effect, whatever you'd like to call it, bettering people and showing them that there's more out there than working the 9 to 5 till you're 67 and retiring off your 401k, or you're formerly known as a pension, or all that. Like those days are, it's a different world we're living in right now. And so the more people that can hear the message, the more it'll ripple across, and the more people that can better their lives.
Amen to that, man. Couldn't have said it better myself. Well, Corey, Ryan, really appreciate you guys' time today. Everybody, really recommend you go check out the Wealth Juice podcast that they've got, as well as their social media. Be sure to follow them. And again, guys, I know that we went longer than we were planning on, but this conversation is just so good. I know our listeners definitely want to take this. I'm sure want to get more of you guys if they check out your podcast too.
Love it, man. Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it. And yeah, I'm looking forward to staying in touch.
Yeah, same here. All right,
Thanks
guys.
so much, Chris.
Well, everybody, like they said, like you could be listening to this all day long, but it's that first step, that first action you take is when your life begins to change. Don't just be a hearer of the word, but be a doer as well. Go and make it a wonderful, prosperous week, and we'll see you later.